So after an independent disciplinary officer, Sue Robinson, imposed a 6-game suspension on Watson for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy earlier in the week, the league officially appealed the decision 3 days later. Many think the NFL is going to expand Watson's suspension to at least a full season. Our Cleveland beat reporter Chris Easterling gives the latest reaction from Browns camp.
Watson was in the middle of signing for some fans, taking some pictures. And when it came down, a PR guy pulled him aside, told him, and from there, I don't want to say chaos because it was the normal post-camp practice chaos that you see with fans begging for autographs and pictures. But security was pretty quick to get Deshaun off the field. And as for the rest of the guys, I don't think it really hit them at that time because I don't think they really knew because, again, they weren't in a group setting where, they were all told at the same time. I think only Deshaun was told. So,
Lorenzo, you've covered the league for almost a decade. We need you to break this down for us. What does it mean to you that the NFL is appealing the 6-game suspension?
Yeah, this is the right call. I mean, this is a process over which the NFL has all this control, so they absolutely need to get it right. And you can look at the Texas grand juries feeling that there wasn't enough evidence to indict, but if you just take the impression of Robinson, the arbiter who oversaw the case, as you said, she sorted through the testimony, she found the alleged victims to be credible, and subsequently, she, in the nicest way possible, almost called Watson a liar, enough to say that she felt he engaged in predatory sexual behavior. So when you talk about all of that, and they only looked at 4 cases in the report, 6 games just doesn't come close to enough, in my opinion. Frankly, I think we should really be talking about whether there should be a place at all for Watson in the league.
Ultimately, this conversation is going to be fixated on how many games and how much money Watson loses. But it's important to know this isn't about football. It is about humanity and sexual assault victims that will have to live with this forever. Do you believe the NFL actually understands that now? We know in the past it hasn't really felt like they have understood that.
Yeah, as it pertains to the league, I think they just tend to be reactive, not proactive to the social backlash and these issues. So, okay, good job NFL. But in terms of the Browns and the culture of the league overall, I don't think that's the case at all. To me, this is just a toxic culture within the league in which they prioritize the talent and performance of a player, the future performance of a player. So issues like these are just so often overlooked. And it's not like the Browns didn't know what they were getting themselves into. They willingly gave this man a fully guaranteed record contract after all of the cases started to come out. So if you look at this another way, Sue Robinson is a disciplinary officer jointly appointed by the NFL and the NFLPA. So basically, she's on the payroll as an employee, right? So essentially, an employee reporting to both the league and the union after a thorough investigation found that Watson engaged in predatory sexual behavior. Therefore, I don't know how you can look at this any other way as a case in which the Browns are enabling a predator, again, according to the league's definition of one, only because he's good at throwing a football.
No one wants to hear this, but there's likely going to be a legal battle that plays out in courts between the league and Watson and the union. Lorenzo, if this can be distilled, do you anticipate Watson playing at all this year, possibly under a temporary restraining order, or is the NFL going to be able to impose the full season suspension?
Yeah, I would look at that full season suspension as kind of the baseline. The NFL recommended that to Robinson before she made her report, so I think it's pretty clear that's what the league wants here. Now, there could be settlement talks where they could reduce that and give concessions here and there, but frankly, the league has all the power. They have all the leverage in the situation. That was collectively bargained, so I think we're looking at that, basically. But I will say this, the way Watson's contract was structured, essentially, even if he sits out this full season, he'd only lose $1 million, which in a $230 million deal is a drop in the bucket. So I think the NFL, they're probably going to look at maybe imposing a monetary fine on top of the season as well.
Hey sports fans, if you want to watch more sports seriously, be sure to check out these clips right here. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel to see all the great content from us here at USA Today Sports.